Today's topic is one that has been talked about quite a few times, but has never really properly been addressed. And the topic is combining Void Shield and Titan's Bane. Now, I recently got newfound, interest in this topic after a conversation with the coach from Cringe Crew, Death. And, basically what he said was that if you build Void Shield and Titan's Bane together, you may as well have built Transcendence instead. Now, the discussion was about Thanatos, and Thanatos is kind of an outlier here because he already gets penetration in his build or in his abilities. So I wouldn't recommend this for Thanatos, but this is more about assassins in general and combining both Void Shield and Titan's Bane on them and what that implies for your build and what that does for the damage numbers. Most people either don't really think about what combining these items means, or they think it's just straight up bad and it just, cripples your build as such, so they dislike it. The reason for that is that Void Shield has protection reduction, whereas Titan's Bane has percentage penetration. The interaction between those is as follows. The reduction gets applied first, so therefore the percentage penetration afterwards is lower. So, for example, if we were to have a target with 100 physical defense, Void Shield would reduce this to 80 physical defense, and then 33% of that 80 physical defense would be taken off. Whereas with Titan's Bane, if there was 100 protection, Titan's Bane would take off 33% of that as well, which would end up being more. But maybe it is not as bad as it sounds, because if you think about it, both the flat reduction and percentage penetration are usually used for different targets. And that's exactly what my thought process here was. That's why I sometimes build it in the past, but not that often. I figured, it makes a lot more sense to look into all the numbers that are available here. And what I did was I checked the values for level 15 Thor versus level 15 Kukulkan, level 15 Geb, which is usually the time where you'd have these items, or a level 20 Thor against the same targets on level 20. I had two builds for Kukulkan. One was just a straight up damage build, and the other one included Dynasty Plate Helmet. The Geb had 3 physical defense items, of which one was Reinforced Grief, so Reinforced Grief, Height of the Urchin, and Sovereignty, just to have a high amount of physical defense. Thor's complete build was Warrior Tubby, Jones Wrath, and these were the two that were obviously just there for early damage, CDR, flat penetration, all that stuff, and then Void Shield and Titan's Bane, or Void Shield and Brawler's Beatstick. The reason I chose Brawler's Beatstick is because it's just the most comparable item. It has flat penetration instead of the percentage penetration. It has a bit of extra damage as well, but otherwise very comparable stats and a similar price. I tried other items as well, and I will take that away beforehand. Stone Cutting Sword does more DPS but less ability damage because you have to hit the enemy first to reduce the protections. There are Shifter's Shield and Masamune, which both have less DPS and damage because they don't have any penetration. And there's Transcendence, which actually, depending on the target, will have the highest damage, but Transcendence in the jungle comes with various problems, including the fact that it has to be stacked to be fully effective and stuff like that, so it doesn't really work the same way. So, as such, Brawler's Beatstick just made most sense for the comparison's sake, and that's exactly what we're going to look at. So first of all, what you have to realize is that the level 15 comparison is always going to be more in favor of Brawler's Beatstick, while the level 20 comparison is more in favor of Titan's Bane. And this is because on level 15, the enemy has less natural physical protection from the levels. Usually you won't get these items much before level 15 unless you completely skip Jones Wrath, which is kind of an outlier case because you need cooldown reduction sooner or later. And often this will be your damage until level 20 because you'll often go into another defense item after that, like for example Spirit Robe. So comparing both level 15 and level 20 makes sense in this regard. Let's start with level 15. On level 15 we have the values for Titan's Bane, one being damage per second, the other one being the combo of 2 basic attacks with the 1 and the 3. So overall one will be a DPS value, the other one will be a total damage value of these numbers combined. And the DPS here is 228, the combo is 1355. If we do the same thing with Brawler's Beatstick against a Kukulkan with no protections, we have 255 DPS and a combo of 1465. So in the end, the DPS of the Brawler's build is 27 higher, and the combo damage is 110 more. So this is fairly in favor of Brawler's Beatstick on that level. Now what if Kukulkan has a Dynasty Plate Helm? The DPS value of the Titan's Bane build goes down to 194. The damage combo is 1159. With Brawlers, the DPS is now 199. The damage combo is 1158. So the DPS of the Titan's Bane build is still 5 lower. The damage of the combo with the abilities is actually 1 higher. This is due to how the interaction with abilities in terms of scaling, in terms of base damage is. So sometimes this difference can happen. So basically between the two there's pretty much no difference here if Kukulkan has Dynasty Plate Helm. Now what if we go in against a tanky target? We're taking the gap with the 3 physical or 2.5 physical defense items. The DPS of the Titan's Bane build is 122. The full damage of the combo is 777. The DPS of the Brawler's build is 107. And the full combo is 665. So now the whole thing is in favor of Titan's Bane. Titan's Bane now has extra 15 DPS and 112 damage more than the Brawler's build. This is somewhat familiar if you actually look at it, because on one hand you have roughly 110 damage less against squishies, on the other hand you have roughly 110 damage more against tankier targets. So what we have to keep in mind here is that often we will have a target with Dynasty Plate Helm, which basically makes the damage go even. Often we will have a jungler with a physical defense item, often being Void Shield. In that case, it already swings in favor of Titan's Bane. This is simply because Dynasty Plate Helm is pretty much the lowest physical defense item there is with 30 physical defense. Everything else has a little more. And the more physical defense the item has, the more the damage goes in favor of Titan's Bane. You also have to keep in mind that Titan's Bane is a little bit cheaper. What you don't get with Titan's Bane is the passive of Brawler's Beatstick. We can't really factor that in here, but that's obviously beneficial against a healing comp. So if we were to rush a full damage build with Void Shield and Jotun's Wrath and then Brawlers or Titan's Bane, what you have to consider is what the enemy team is building. Is the support building a lot of physical defense, or is he mostly avoiding it? Is there a warrior solo laner that is building into physical defense? Is the mid laner building any physical defense? And is the jungler building any physical defense? The more of them have physical defense, the more effective the Titan's Bane build becomes in comparison. If there are less than, let's say, 3 players on the team with physical defense of any sort, then Brawlers should definitely be better. What also is in favor of Brawlers here is the fact that as an assassin you're usually looking to focus squishies and deal most damage with your combo against them. So if you're really able to pick out those squishies on the backline, then Brawlers will help you more. Also, Brawlers is obviously more helpful when there are healers on the enemy team, and as such should be used as a counter-wielding item in many cases, despite of not giving you quite as much damage directly. Now let's look at level 20. Same target, same combo. So, against Kukulkan with no protections, the DPS of the Titan's Bane build is now 234. The combo, on the other hand, is 1289 damage. With Brawler's Beatstick, we get 250 DPS, and the combo is 1333 damage. So, 16 DPS less on the Titan's Bane build, and 44 damage in the combo less. If Kukulkan has Dynasty Plate Helm, now with a little more base protection due to the level, it changes already. We now have 202 DPS on the Titan's Bane build, 1115 combo damage versus 201 DPS on the Brawler's build and 1080 combo damage. So here the difference is 1 DPS in favor of Titan's Bane and a combo difference of 35 damage in favor of Titan's Bane. If we look at Geb with his 3 physical defense items, we now have a DPS of 131 on Titan's Bane, 769 combo damage, actually not much of a change there from level 15, whereas with Brawler's Beatstick we have 113 DPS and a total combo damage of 651. The damage difference here is 18 DPS in favor of Titan's Bane and 118 combo damage. These values are very similar to level 15 already, because Geb already had that much physical protection and the other build on level 15 that the extra protection he gets from leveling up doesn't do much anymore. Whereas for the lower defense character, being Kukulkan, it makes more of a difference. The extra protection from those levels is actually more relevant, and the stats work out in favor of Titan's Bane. So what this tells us is that if you are looking to build into more defense afterwards, if you're saying, okay, after my Jones Wrath after Void Shield, I want 1 damage item and then I want to go into Spirit Robe or Mantle of Discord or something like that. But I still need some damage against tankier targets later on, or I expect them to build some more physical defense or something like that. Then it makes sense to already maybe get Titan's Bane beforehand. You will have a slight DPS drop for a while that gets compensated later on. You obviously could go Spirit Robe first, but that would imply a bigger DPS drop in the bigger picture, so to speak. So there are reasons to build both, really. But Titan's Bane is not as bad as it sounds in combination with Void Shield, as many people think it is, depending on who you're up against. I would really make this build depend on the team that you're up against. Usually you will have at least 3 people building physical defense, so you can definitely justify building Titan's Bane, especially because of the cheaper price tag as well, but it won't always be the best choice. But in the end, I would say Titan's Bane plus Void Shield is better than it is given credit for, especially if you're looking to fight a tankier comp. With that, thank you guys for watching, and Happy New Year to all of you, or happy, well, slide into the new year, as we would say in Germany. Also, until I am going to Hi-Res Expo, if you catch me streaming, I can't always announce that on YouTube, but if you catch me streaming, I will be giving away a God Pack or 1,500 gems for every 6th new subscriber that I'm getting. It's going to be a raffle for the subscribers every time that happens. Twitch subs count as well, just letting you know. And with that, Duke Sloth, out.